I already have a video covering his bot antics, and now he's back, this time demonstrating their behaviour on the new Newke. So that we're all on the same page here, bots wouldn't move on their own were it not for a NavMesh, which is a series of squares which cover the entire level, telling them everything they need to know. Global Offensive is good because it automatically makes a NavMesh for every map, but if left at that, the results can often be disappointing or even broken, which is why it's best for humans to take a look at it before the map is released. Anyway, this is how a NavMesh works. If a bot wants to get from A to B, it will look at all the squares in between and will make them go from one to the next until they reach their destination. It's understandable, but worth mentioning that they prefer simple routes rather than the short ones. In other words, they'll take the longer route if it means avoiding complicated areas full of many small nav squares. It's not too much of a problem. They will still take the difficult path if it's noticeably shorter, but it will cause problems with the more complicated maps where they'll likely favour the same simple paths most rounds. Now you'd think the NavMeshes of official maps would be complete, but they're not. Far from it. NavMesh areas are connected by blue lines, indicating that bots can move from one to another, but there are none connecting those in Ramp Room to those in Bomb Site B. The result is that, instead of using this doorway, the bots will instead walk around the map to find another way down. The same happens in Secret. How would you get down these stairs? 2 clicks, Philip. Demonstrate how for me. But for a bot, it isn't so simple. If I tell a bot to go down these stairs, he'll go all the way around. The reason? Valve made a load of small squares on these stairs to act as camping spots. That's right, squares can be given roles. If one's a camping spot, bots looking to defend the area will run to it, believing that they'll be reasonably concealed from view there. In Newke's case, these squares weren't connected together properly, breaking the link between the top and the bottom. Because of this, the bot now thinks that the stairs are an impassable obstacle, much like some cautious, stupid puppy would. Bez decided to remove these sniper spots and to just let them go up and down these stairs, which he thought was more important than having a camping spot that they'd hardly ever use in practice.
Alfred, finally got you, damn bastard. What were you thinking?
Welcome to the world of NavMesh design. It's all about compromise. The entire concept of stringing squares together into paths is very basic and limited, but if done correctly it can still lead to very playable bots. In fact, the trick is to keep it as simple as possible. Don't think that by adding 100 camping spots to a room that the bots will play it better than if there were only 5. They probably won't. They are simple creatures and are very easily bogged down by useless information, much like puppies. Simple is better, and in this case means making them use stairs for their actual purpose, rather than as some obscure camping spot. But camping spots are a thing. There are 3 grades, red being the worst, green being okay, and purple, which is the best. He believes that sniper bots only really choose purple, whereas normal bots will choose between going for a nearby green or red, or in Bez's words,
run to the second end of the map to get a purple hiding spot, because they're dicks.
He believes that a lot of places are marked as bad red camping spots because even if the bots don't choose to go there themselves, they will still check them to see if enemies are using them. He showed me Ramp Room, where there are a load of boxes up here. Bots themselves won't be able to get up there, but real players can be boosted up, and for his own custom NavMesh for Newke, he added areas up here, which will make bots check this spot occasionally, plus it helps should a bot be spawned up here for whatever reason. This is a reason why NavMeshes should include spots that the bots will never go to themselves. It simply makes them more compatible with human players. Sometimes you have to get creative. Ladders are a nightmare for us, let alone for bots. As they approach the ladder, they'll stop running and will begin walking, which if approached from certain angles means that they will plummet to their deaths. Take it away, Alfred.
Long. Yeah, I just saw his legs. Oh my god. What the fuck was that? Alfred, he was scaring me. Okay, Alfred, we're counting on you.
Getting them to stand in the correct position before attempting the ladder will solve this limitation, and it's something that Bez has done with his custom NavMesh for Newke. This ladder's a nightmare for bots. Although they'll seldom use it in practice, it nicely shows how creative you can be when bypassing bots' limitations. At the moment, the ladder is split into 2 halves for bots. If they want to get from the ground to the roof, they'll climb up to the first floor, get off, then will get back on to climb up the remaining distance. Bez has split the ladder up into 2 sides. The left-hand side goes all the way up in one go. The right-hand side stops on the first level. It's not perfect since they won't be able to get down from the roof to the camping spot, but it's a case of weighing up the pros and cons of each approach and deciding what would benefit the bots in that area the most. It's not about making it perfect. It's all about understanding bot behaviour and creating a system that lets them behave the least poorly. A very useful feature is the Nojump command. Bots have the tendency to jump down stairs or onto platforms, even when it's possible to walk over them instead. This is perhaps the most noticeable limitation with an automatically generated NavMesh, and is something that we've all seen them doing at some point or another. But it's easy to fix with this nifty command, which will also minimise falling damage when they step off ledges. Want to see how bots navigate a map? Open the console and type in these commands. For the last one I've chosen the N button, but you can choose whatever you want. When you press it, the bot will try to get to wherever you're looking at. The bot debug 1 command is also interesting. Spectate them with this option enabled and you'll be able to see their inner thoughts, dreams and desires. It shows how happy they are, how many enemies and friendlies they know are nearby, and what their current status is. In this mode, you can see them look away from flashes and shake their aim between different body regions to represent frantic mouse movements if they get alarmed or overwhelmed. We can also see how they interact with other characters. If a player makes a noise or a scene, their position is updated with a yellow arrow, which the bot will then use to aim at if they lose sight of the player himself. In some cases, bots have $10,000 headsets and will be able to hear scopes and silence weapons being fired, even at considerable distances. Weapon switching shows the word bang on the player model, meaning that the game acknowledges that it should alert players to their location, but doesn't update the yellow pointer position. This is probably for the best, since otherwise bots would have superhuman senses and would be able to use them as a kind of sniffer dog to spot hiding enemies. In conclusion, I walked away from this feeling that, when mixed with considerate map design and some custom nav meshes, bots can be pretty decent. At the moment they might get stuck behind doors and stumped by ladders, but with a bit of help from Bez, they can master these challenges. And lastly, a parkour challenge. Will Alfred be able to run all the way around the side of the main building in the default Newke NavMesh? Bez pointed out the key problems. Bots holding heavier weapons aren't able to jump as far, making this jump impossible. The NavMesh on the top of the silo is messed up and fragmented into about 1,000 different bits. And if told to go from T-spawn to heaven, bots would normally pick another route. But if the task is split into several smaller parts, this is what they're capable of. Isn't it beautiful to behold? The AI revolution starts now. Thanks to Bez for helping me to make this video, and Bot Alfred for